Sorry if this video keeps glitching a little bit. My recording software is all over the place today. But got a lot of questions on introductions and kind of what needs to happen in an introduction. So let's talk about that a little bit. So ultimately, the introduction should interest the reader. It should hook that reader right off the bat and get them interested. Just kind of, it's your first impression, your first engagement with the reader. So you want to make it a good one. You want to ask yourself, how do you connect with your audience's values, needs, and knowledge? And so establishing this connection right off the bat can really help you in establishing a good relationship with your audience. Should be specific to your topic, not general. So, I like to think of this idea as a funnel introduction, where we start off broad but still kind of confined by what our topic, and we slowly start to chisel down and get more narrow towards our thesis statement. So this is a good way of starting out the context, the background of your topic, and this might take a while to develop if we're kind of relying on a context-based argument with things. In that introduction, you want to take the time to establish what it is you're talking about, where you're coming from, kind of the history behind that briefly. And also you want to really, really make sure that you're indicating who it is you're writing to. We're talking about these issues through a certain lens towards a specific audience, and that's definitely going to influence what information, what background you're presenting. So think about that relationship between audience and background and context. And you can also start to deploy sources to be using in your context background paragraph. So showing why this is important now and where we need to be going. So establishes your credibility right off the bat. You can show them through these statistics. You don't have to necessarily tell them this is an important issue. You can tell them this is an important issue, but you really want to show them through these statistics and through this evidence in your introduction that this is what's happening, and this is where I'm going with this. In terms of context, this is really, really what your introductions need to kind of encompass. So you need to ask yourself, what does your audience need to know in order to understand your argument? How would you need to brief someone or set them up for your paper? Consider the research you've done thus far. What does your audience know about the issue? How much do you need to explain? So if your audience doesn't know anything, you probably are going to spend a lot more time on that context paragraph as well. Provide at least some background context about the issue, and what does your audience need to know in order to care about your argument? So what do they need to know to understand it? Explain, or what do they need to know about it, and what do they need to know in order to care about it? Are good things to ask yourselves when you're thinking about context and audience as well.